Hey everyone, Miss GoElectric here. On this latest episode of In Charge, I'm sitting down with the founder, Adam, of Zero Labs. Now this is a EV conversion type company, but I'd like you to explain more.
We're a design and engineering company. We're not a classic car manufacturer, although we obviously are standing behind one in front of one. But we're mainly a technology company. What we're building is essentially the scalable answer to the problem that we're all suffering with, is that how do we produce electric versions of these cars we love, but at scale, without using crashed parts, without taking these like 20-minute weekend shops to make yourself into an engineer, and do so in a responsible way that is scalable, that provides the best quality technology. And that's not been done, and that is what this industry needs to hit its ground.
And I have to say, I'm extremely impressed just peeking my head in the window because it looks like everything is brand spanking new and it is pristine. So can you talk about the effort to get to the point where you have vehicles like this on display?
A lot of the original story of why people get in this industry is fairly similar. They're successful CEOs, they maybe had an exit, they have a passion for it, they recognize the size of the market, they feel dissatisfied by the way it's being addressed, but the way they're solving it is the same way what got it here, which is this one-off technology approaches. So we really took a step back and went after all the parts of the industry, not just how the technology is built, but also how you build the car as well. We've built a lot of different versions of the vehicles, and it's taught us like this is how you should build the cars, but also how you electrify them. So for these, we did the full builds, every part of the interior, the way the doors close, electrical harnesses, body fabrication, design, engineering, every part of it. And that we create a mastery of understanding that model. Like nobody knows that model better than us. We've re-engineered every part of it. Now when we do electrification, it's easily solved. We know where the weaknesses are. We know the problems that come from that. And I feel like we're better able to serve and support the scale market because we really understand those models as evidenced by the models we made.
So how do you pick and choose which types of models you're going to produce?
I mean, that's actually a great question, because we do get asked about these weird ones like 1940 Ferrari Enzos or something, but ultimately we pick the ones that people have the most passion for. Like they're still on the road somehow. Like those are great candidates. We also want to make sure we have enough of them. For example, we get asked to do like a Mercedes 300 SL. Those are great cars, but I mean, they made like 200 of them, maybe 3,000 of them. Yeah, 3,000 of them. But that's nothing, and they're $1 million each. Whereas like the Land Rovers, they made 17 million of those, right? The F-250s made 11 million of those, and so there's a lot of them out there. So you have the right amount of supply to justify the engineering. You have the right amount of passion for the car, and people are already paying a price pretty close to what we're charging.
Yeah, and so how do you, and when I think about the vehicles that you have on display here, the Bronco and the Land Rover in particular, the Land Rover is especially interesting because you take the elements of the off-roading capability. So how do you implement that in your chassis and powertrain?
The way we don't do is keep things as they are. Because I mean, those cars never went 60 miles an hour. They never really went off-road. They were thrown out of airplanes. They were farmer trucks. And so like, if we adopt that to modern highways, you're gonna kill somebody. So making that car electric is like putting a rocket on a tricycle. Like this, you're gonna flip over. So we re-engineered it for on and off road. We have independent front and rear suspension the way a modern car would. We have a perfectly balanced battery in the center of the car between the axles. That's where the center of gravity would be if you were to make a new car. We have speed adjusted steering. We also have ride height control. So you can go off-road if you want to, but you don't have to. Mostly these cars are mostly part-time off-road. If you're really gonna go full off-road, you'll get a Polaris or some kind of like off-road full-time vehicle, but you want the ability to, if you want to.
I am interested in the idea of the chassis that you've produced because I noticed that it's a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. So can you talk a little bit about sourcing that? Because at this time, it seems like it's somewhat challenging to acquire batteries, and especially if you have a bigger pack like that.
Yeah.
Is it a challenge for you?
I mean, 5 years ago it was impossible. Nowadays, we made our own batteries. We're not a national energy laboratory, so we didn't invent our own chemistry. And anyone who tells you they did, full of shit. They did not. But the form factor is unique. We don't have the luxury like a new car to make the chassis from scratch, going like, you know what we're gonna do is put an 18-foot chassis, 15 feet wide, and then put wheels on it. We don't have that luxury. So we have to work backwards and go like, what is this shape? And how would we put batteries in there? And how would we repower it? And so we have to work backwards from the shape we have. And the only way to do that is to make your own batteries, because there's nothing off the shelf that makes sense for this. But now we've gotten the attention of the world. We have global battery manufacturers that are saying like, you have our attention, and it's an easy sell. You're not selling as many cars as batteries to new car manufacturers as you want to. There's 1.6 billion cars in the world that could use your batteries. What side of this do you want to be on, you know? And I think that they're getting it now. They're seeing how big the market can be. So the next generation of these for us will have a specifically custom-made battery, but directly connected to a tier 1 manufacturer that supplies new cars. And that's the first time that's ever happened.
Wow. And so to me, that screams scale. So can you talk about your plans as far as scalability for your company?
I'm only doing this for scale. I'm not, this is not an art project where I want to stand behind and polish chrome and be the cool guy with the ZZ Top beard and talk about tattoos. I mean, there's plenty of those guys and I love them, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to say, I see a major problem you all have, and I'm going to solve that major problem with a major answer, which is not going to be standing around polishing chrome and talking about the small things. It's going to be developing an industrialized version of a technology that can solve this problem faster and better than this handmade DIY shit. And that can only handle at scale. If we're not doing this at scale, I'm not going to be here, because I just don't care. If I'm not solving a major problem, what am I here for? You know, we have the right conditions where we say, market forces are saying we want electric. The supply chains are there saying we want to make these parts. We're already making these parts. We've got charging infrastructure support, and we also have market conditions like the government saying you have to drive it electric. We're not even going to let you drive the old cars anymore. So it's pressing this together, saying this is in the inevitable outcome of the future of our past. What are we going to do with that? And the answer is not putting them all in a landfill and starting over. The answer is to find a way of transitioning what we have. And this is not the first time this happened. You know, when MP3s first came out in, I think it was like 2004, you know, at first it was only for new songs. And everybody was like, whoa, that's amazing. Look at the quality. It's lossless. There's no packaging. This is definitely the future. And everyone agreed. But imagine if they said, so from now on, all new songs will be MP3s, will be digital. Like, that's amazing. And we're just going to let the old music just kind of throw it in the trash and just move on, and we'll start new. What the hell are you talking about? You know, and that actually did happen. So our job is really to transition the past, to digitize the past, and let it participate alongside the new cars. But we're not going to do that with one-offs. We're going to do that at scale. So Zero is set up to do that. That is what we're here for. We've proven the market. We've delivered cars since 2021. But to achieve that scale, we have to industrialize it. We had to take what we've done internally and move this to factories, move this to offsite, make them with at-scale robots. That's already happening with new cars. We're adopting the same technology to serve this market, which is massive. And we have 77,500 or more order requests, signed LOIs from startup OEMs, and manufacturers willing to supply us that only supply for OEMs, but we still need capital, you know? I've put $10 million of my own money into this because I have skin in the game. I'm not a guy who's gonna take a exorbitant salary and shoot a bunch of selfies and pay for my jet fuel. You know, I'm in this, and I'm not crazy. You know, I did this because I want to have a major part and own this. You know, this is a multi-billion-dollar category. I mean, there's 1.6 billion, there's 100 million classic vehicles on the road right now. How many more would there be if we could get our technology out there? So very easily, we could bring our technology from our prices where it is now to a price that rivals that of new cars. A new car has 30,000 parts. Ours has 1,100. We could sell our platform for the same price as a new car with significantly less parts and complexity, serve the market profitably. And that's the part that's missing in electric vehicles, is profitability. But we need scale for that. We need funding for that.
Well, I'm interested too, is as far as like, what's your take on, you know, I'm not sure what the charging speeds are or anything like this, but I gotta assume on a vehicle like this, for what people are buying it for, it's not a big requirement for you to get massively fast charging speeds. So can you talk about your opinion on how that fits into your company in particular?
Yeah, I mean, charging is like with new cars. I'm sure you've had the other end of the conversation with the OEMs. We're all touting the virtues of rapid charge and fast charge, but what's not being discussed is the safety component. And I think that when you get into rapid charge, you're also talking about thermal management, and you could melt lines, you could cook your system if you go too fast. So we want to be responsible. I mean, these are lovely cars. You know, you can set fire to a new car and go, we'll replace it with a new car. You don't have that luxury with these, so we got to be very deliberate with how we introduce new technology, especially something that's high risk as DC fast charge. We've seen failures, we've seen successes. So right now we're CCS1. We're moving to North American charging standard when it's safe and okay. We're not in a rush to do that. Most people do home charging anyway.
Yeah, so that's what I would assume for this type of application is most people are going to home charge it anyways because it's going to be a leisure vehicle and they're going to be cruising around a beautiful area like California, like we see, cruising on the PCH. So what I'm hearing from you is that you want to be able to produce this chassis, the battery, the motors, and all the componentry that is the basic framework of the vehicle, but then you'll sell that to other companies to be able to put in the artistic work to put that hat on top.
Exactly. If we're going to recycle the classic vehicles, we also need to recycle the industry that's building them. And we need to give them a future as well. So we're not electrifying the cars, we're electrifying the industry that's supporting those cars. So this is an integrated system that is designed to allow you to continue to make your beautiful cars with your chrome and stitches and all the details you love, but not have to spend years learning thermal management engineering and all the subtle connections of all those parts. You don't need to learn that, and that is what we're here for. That is what we're building. We've signed up 26 guys coming by going, I don't want to do the hard part. I want to just focus on the beautiful part. That's what we're here for.
That is pretty cool. I mean, I'm super impressed because I just thought you guys were doing EV conversions, but it's way more than what I expected. And I know you said you're not crazy, but you're crazy passionate, and I can tell you that right now. So thanks for spending
Kamikaze pilot.
Yeah, there you go.
I will hit my destination.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Adam. Thanks for spending some time with us
Absolutely.
today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for watching this latest video. I hope you learned something about Zero Labs. I know I did. And until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.